Hi, so glad it's working out on my laptop. Let's see. I'm trying to center myself. Okay, today's best story, and the other title I put was Taking Stock of Your Strengths. So let's start with Beth. Beth is a fourth year medical student trying to make decisions about her area of specialization and her residency options. Early during fall semester, she found herself in a frenzy, cleaning her apartment, studying for her licensing exam, completing applications for residency, and doing it all with boundless energy. More generally, she tended toward mild depression and low energy, so she found herself energetic intensity to be surprising, if not a bit alarming, given that she was no stranger to episodic depression. She had been curious about bipolar disorder during her third year psychiatry rotation. So, um, medical students have a rotation on psychiatry. So, um, they probably took a psych course in college, but the psych for medical school goes into more details. And usually, what you find is you go back to your room or whatever and you think, oh, I have that, I have that, I have that. But you usually don't. But you could have something. Now she was poring over her textbooks, trying to soak up as much information as she could about bipolar hypomania. It was frightening when she saw that she very clearly fit the profile, including the fact that she had been troubled by depression for years prior to the emergency of recent symptoms. Beth called one of her friends who had already begun a psychiatric residency and described what was going on with her. Her friend was quite concerned, and he took the initiative to call and make arrangements for Beth to be seen for an emergency psychiatric evaluation the following day. That night, Beth found that she couldn't get to sleep at all. Her mind was racing. Her body felt like it needed to move in all directions at once. By the time of her appointment and following morning, she was frazzled and also anxious about what she might be told. After taking a careful history and discussing her current symptoms in detail, the psychiatrist informed Beth that she likely had bipolar disorder. The psychiatrist also recommended that she start a low dose antipsychotic medicine as well as one of the mood stabilizing medications as soon as possible. In the following days, Beth found herself reeling from the new information. Bipolar disorder was something she had studied. It was something that happened to patients. It wasn't something that would happen to her. Besides, she had been hoping for a fellowship in cardiology after her residency. She knew this was a rigorous and demanding path involving at least 5 additional years of residency and fellowship training. She thought she had a good shot at being accepted, but she could but could she really undergo the rigors of repeated sleep deprivation without causing additional bipolar instability? Beth had spent her last 8 years preparing for this next stage of her medical training. She was already 70,000 in debt from medical school. Could she manage the stresses of her final years of medical training? Would it be unhealthy for her? Would she be a danger to patients? Was she facing a situation where she might have to give up medicine altogether? It's hard to change your dreams, your own trajectory. These were questions that Beth had difficulty answering, partly because the diagnosis she received was so new to her. The stresses she faced were not much less than Reuben would have faced that he remained in the military. The difference is that the medical profession would be likely to provide more support for Beth, but would she have enough access to this support during the course of an internal medicine residency and cardiology fellowship. Beth might need to consider a residency more accommodating to her need for a healthy sleep schedule. An even more radical shift would be for her to explore options such as obtaining a research fellowship for the year or two before going on her residency training. Granted, this detour would delay her progression toward patient care. On the other hand, it would allow her time to get a sense of the effects of this new diagnosis to determine what lifestyle management strategies will be essential for her mood stability. Like Beth and Ruben, you need to take an honest look at the reality of your situation. While you may face some limitations, a broad range of career choices are available to you. Your challenge is to look at the requirements of your career objectives and assess whether those requirements will conflict with your need to maintain mood stability. You must be able to consider what risks you might face in that career if you were to become unstable. So, questions about career choices. What are the requirements of your career goals given some of the unique needs of living with bipolar disorder? Are the requirements achievable? Will your career choice allow you to maintain the kind of lifestyle necessary for stable functioning? Within your desired career, what are the risks to yourself and others for if you become unstable? Are these risks worth taking? So that's what you have to think of yourself. We have another Catherine. I'm just going to give you little highlighted sentences, and we probably won't have time for Catherine today, but there's always tomorrow. Okay. So, under the title, Taking Stock of Yourself. But the person who sits at the center of it all, you, will continue to be very present in your world. No, I didn't underline enough. Okay, here's an exercise reminders of enduring qualities. What you think of your positive personality characteristics, the ones that have been present for you over time. What are the first 5 words of descriptive phrases that might come to mind? Just for me, I'm creative. I'm so proud of being creative. I could tell you a gazillion ways I'm creative, but that's my pride and joy I bring to any job or situation. If several of your friends were asked what they enjoyed or valued about you, what would be the top 5 words or descriptive phrases expressed about you? I could guess, but it would really have to be my friends or family to say that. Okay, here's some other lines before Catherine's story. Um, Here we go. But even if it takes longer than you anticipated, you still won't be stuck in depression or hypomania forever. So that's kind of a line having to do with my dissertation. You won't be stuck forever in an episodic moment. You won't be hypomania or mania. You won't be depressed. It all won't last forever. When we were talking about how it lasts, it's like 4 or 5 extreme days. Mania could cause hospitalization. Again, you'd have to be self-advocating on that. I forget the amount of time depression, but it's not forever. And you're going to have those stable moments. And if you're blessed, there'll be more stable moments than there'll be episodic moments. So that would be the hope of anybody with this diagnosis. Allow yourself to be helped by others. Give me a second to get water. You really need that support group. You can't always fight it alone, especially when you're mid episode and may still be denying that you are. It's the people around you that are going to say, oh, yeah, this is where you are. Those supportive people that know about your illness, that know you, and can help you ascertain if you are in an episode. When you look at where you are headed before things went haywire, can you still realistically get there considering what you've just been through? If not, what adjustments do you need to make? So that comes up on Catherine's story. So I'm going to put a little card in because we want to get Catherine's story. This is another little highlighted sentence from this chapter. At this chapter's examples show, in order to live with bipolar disorder, you need to become skilled or continually evaluating and adjusting. Hard, but you can do it. But however rough the ride, your challenge will be to keep a positive attitude so that if you do take a fall, you'll be able to get back up, dust yourself off, and figure out what's next. Okay, these are called longitudinal studies in the book Manic Depressive Illness, Bipolar Disorders, and Recurrent Depression by Goodwin and Jameson, 2007. So a longitudinal study, I'll go over it again, is over a long period of time. I saw two people, I don't know which one was leading the podcast because they both have one, talking about happiness. And they've done it so long over time. They know that women who lose their husbands are still pretty happy. They know that men that lose their wives are very unhappy. What else were they talking about? It's interesting. And it points to, although I don't know whether this study proved this, that if a man is unhappy when he loses his wife, he might seek another love to get married again. But women can have a lot of activities, a lot of friends, a lot of things to keep them interested in their life. I am not recommending people wish that their spouse died, but it's a longitudinal study. It started, I want to guess, the 30s or the 40s, like 1930 to 1940. So that's, if I do the quick math in my head, that's nearly 100 years. So that's a lot of info. And that's what we need about this illness and about these meds. We need longitudinal studies. That isn't over a year, that isn't over 6 months. Sometimes it's not over a year. It needs to be years and years and years. But the collegian studies do prove, as we've talked about, that if there isn't some gosh, I can't think of the word, something that is put in their first semester, second semester life that's helpful, they're very often liable to drop out of college at that point. So if you're in the shoes of a college administration, you should be like, wow, we could keep these people if we just interjected, modules, 8 modules, as silly as this thing, I heard it in another podcast that didn't have anything to do with mental illness. If you get a positive text from somebody every day, or you do it for somebody else, it can really make their day. So I try to put a positive thing on Facebook, but not all my friends are on Facebook. So, it'd be good if I took the time and said something positive to all my friends, because it helps to start their day better. That doesn't mean you have to have mental illness. It's just keeping us all in a healthier, better feeling life. Okay, so let me see what else. As for your hopes and dreams, with the exception of a few unique ones, you still have a lot of room to achieve. So that's what you want to remember. And that's the end of the book. So I want to do Beth tomorrow, possibly, and don't hold me to this. Get the accommodations and modifications from my dissertation. Maybe do some more research on that, which would probably be in the books I read in college that weren't necessarily about mental illness, but were about even physical illness and accommodations and modifications. So happy to see you. So happy to be on my laptop. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.